Hey guys, Dr. Campbell here. We are going to show you today how to make some homemade face coverings. The CDC came out and recommended that everybody use one of these as they're out in the community, and really it just is made with things that you can find around your house. So we're going to first start with a bandana. We have a bandana, we have a piece of a coffee filter, we have two rubber bands, and then we have part of a t-shirt. And we all know we have that spare t-shirt around that wouldn't mind being repurposed. So I'm sure hopefully you have one or some of these things at the house. The first thing I'm going to show you is the bandana. One of the things that needs to be clear is that it needs to have several layers of cloth between you and the outside world. So we need to kind of layer this up a little bit. The coffee filter is an additional filter that we'll place in order to try to help with some of that that barrier that we're going to create. So for a bandana, all you have to do is first just start by folding it in half. Take your coffee filter, put it in the middle third here, fold up halfway here, meet the other middle halfway here. You take your rubber bands like this, you fold like this, and then you apply it to your face like this. You need to make sure that it is touching the sides of your face. You need to make sure that it's covering your nose and your mouth equally. You need to make sure that it has as tight of a seal around that nose as possible, okay? We're gonna do a similar thing with the t-shirt. This one, however, we're gonna fold halfway this way first, half again. You fold halfway again here, halfway again here. You apply the same rubber bands as you did with the bandana, and it's the same concept. You fold over here and then apply to the face with the rubber bands behind the ears, and that's your easy make at home face shield. If you're lucky enough to have a sewing machine, I brought this in honor of my daughter. She made this one out of hair bands, which you can also use hair bands if you don't have rubber bands. She did sew it, but that's because she's very interested in such things. So it might be a fun craft for you and your kids to do at the house. Again, all it has to do is just make sure that it's several layers thick, covers the nose and the mouth, fits snugly on the side of the face, and goes around the ears. You can also do one that is more of a tie. This is a gift from my mother-in-law, so a shout out to her as well. And so the tie will go up high and then behind the neck in order to secure this safely around the face. So those are all ways that we can safely protect ourselves. One thing I would say though is that if you have access to an N95 or a surgical mask, we ask that those are really dedicated for healthcare workers and people on the front lines. These cloth and homemade face masks and shields are absolutely adequate for the general public. And the N95s and the surgical masks are in great need for our healthcare workers in order to stay safe and continue to work on the front lines within our communities. So please don't feel that you have to go out and try to find or buy some of those products, because we really need to keep those available for our healthcare workers. One note is that if you have a little one, 2 or less, we do not recommend that you put one of these shields or face masks on their face, because that may obstruct them from being able to breathe easily. Also, if you have somebody who is not able physically to remove the mask, if for any reason they got where they couldn't breathe well, if they were not able to remove the mask themselves, they should not be using a face shield. So those are some precautions that we need to make sure that we, don't put anybody in harm's way by using these, but otherwise we need to make sure we use these when we're out and about. Consider this a seat belt, and we all know that if you drive too fast, even if you're wearing your seat belt, you can get into trouble. This is not the be-all end-all. If you are still in an environment where you are surrounded by people closer than 6 feet, this is not enough to protect you. We have to continue to keep that distance, continue to keep your face covered. Little by little by little, each step that we take will create a greater good, a greater whole. But don't feel that this is solely just because you're wearing a mask that now you can go out and be around people that you shouldn't be around, or be in environments that are are crowded and not trying to create that distance, because it's not enough to just wear the mask. Okay, so everything still applies. The additional thing is that when you are out and about, when you come home, you need to make sure that you wash your hands really well. You need to take off your mask, and you don't touch it in the front of the mask when it's been exposed to the outside world. That needs to be avoided. Take it out from behind the ears, put it in the laundry, and then go wash your hands really well. And please, please, please don't touch your face. There are some of these droplets that can get on you, and the virus can, continue to be infectious. And so we need to make sure that we have good off and on technique in order to not contaminate yourself, even if you're wearing a mask. So make sure you launder that mask after you've been wearing it outside in the community, and then once you've then you get it back, you make it again, and you can go again, but make sure that you don't touch that front of that mask, especially after you've been around others.